This is my ICOM AH705 tuner, and its accompanying winder with wire and counterpoise, a weighted counterpoise, and that's because this setup is pretty robust for what I've been doing with it, and that is I've been flying with the thing. Yes, you haven't seen much of it, but I have flown with this as my antenna tuner and this as my antenna. I am getting ready to go on a trip, and I want to take a minimal pack out with me of radio stuff. So I'm taking my IC705, my AH705 minus some of this wire. So for this trip, this is out. What am I replacing it with? Let me show you. I've had this package for at least 2 weeks, maybe longer at this point in time. I don't know. It came from Canada. I haven't even opened it yet. 300 feet. Look at that. VSE line from Ham Radio Rookie, VF Comms. If you're not familiar, I'm going to put a link to his channel in the description. Look at it. It looks like paracord. It looks like nothing but paracord, but this, the guts, aren't paracord. The guts are conductive line. So we have one end here. He's looped it. As you can see, this thing knots just like a rope does, and that's perfect because that's what I'm going to have to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure myself a length of this stuff. I ordered 300 feet from Ben. I have plans. I have plans. I have long-term ideas for this stuff. But for now, I'm going to cut, I don't know, probably 30 feet of this stuff. I'm going to cut two lengths. One is probably going to be roughly 30 feet, and the other one is going to be, let's see. How about we go with 10 feet? That way I have a radiating element for the tuner and a counterpoise for the tuner. Now, I'll put a link on the description, maybe even in a card up there, on a set of videos that Ben and Vince have made about how to deal with terminating this stuff. Because, as you can see, it's kind of floppy. And you want to terminate the wires, but not terminate the fuzz and all that happy-go-lucky stuff. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to go this route. Yeah, ferrules. I'm not going to take you through the process of measuring this stuff out and just cutting it out. I'm just letting you know what I'm going to do, show you what I'm doing, and move on. So, the trick to this thing is, how do I get all these fuzzies, right? This is like hair thin, into the appropriate size ferrule? I have an idea. Check this out. If you've ever sewn in your life, then you know exactly where I'm going with this. If you haven't sewn, well, sounds like a you problem. Look at that. Thread that through the ferrule. Let's see if this works. I really don't know whether this will or won't, but at this point in time, I'm willing to give it a shot. Bam! Perfect. So all we're talking about is just a thin bit of line that's doubled up. In this case, it's a tether for the Nano VNA pick, and a little touch interface. And, you know what? I got ahead of myself, didn't I? So I got ahead of myself, but easy to fix, right? Because I can just take it off, put the heat shrink on. I may have to fish the heat shrink the same way. You know what? I'm going to have to. Where did I? Is the heat shrink short enough that I can do that? Yep, it is. Okay. Heat shrink, line. Let me get. Testing to make sure that it is properly secured in there, and now I'm just gonna trim around this and get the heat shrink on it. That should be it. Be right back. Now the heat shrinking is done. Look at this, just a pair of scissors, regular pair of scissors, done. This should have no issue. You know, I probably should have measured this before. Let's see. Ah, no, it doesn't fit. This should have no issue with me putting on a good old everyday banana clip, and then the banana clip going into terminal. That works. I'm gonna go measure out the 2 lengths I need. I'll come back when all of this is assembled. And just like that, I have counterpoise and driven element over here. Whole lot less mess and a whole lot easier to, flex, because the other stuff, let me bring the other stuff. This stuff has a very stiff PVC jacket. I think that's what it is. Whatever the jacket material is super tough. Also heavy gauge wire, so this is something, I want to say this is 16 gauge maybe, 12 gauge? Can't remember what it is, or something like that. And it's also Kevlar reinforced, so it works for the job I'm putting it on, right? I'm dragging it through the ground when I land, but it's not convenient for travel. You know what? Give me a second, let me get a scale. Measuring in grams, so 131.5 grams. Call it a few more grams because I don't have the counterpoise in here, versus both of those at 70 grams, 70.3. So about a halving of the weight. Not that the weight matters all that much to me, but it might to you. There you go. Next, we get my pack together.